Well, hi, everyone. Welcome to the Inside Wayzata podcast. Today, we are talking about incoming sixth grade and all the exciting things that come with starting middle school. And we have three very special guests with us today. We have Meg Bennett, who is the principal of East Middle School. We have Nolan Wooten, who is a seventh grader, or soon to be seventh grader at East Middle School. And we have Nolan's mom, Marissa Wooten, who will tell us all the things we need to know about starting sixth grade, starting middle school from the parent guardian perspective. So I'm going to start with you, Nolan.
Okay.
Sixth grade, new school. Can you remember some of the things you felt starting sixth grade on that first day?
I was nervous, but also excited too. Start new school, new friends, new teachers.
Do you remember what you were most nervous about?
Probably getting class to class and meeting new teachers.
Yeah. I feel like when I think back to when I started middle school, it was, in elementary school, you are pretty contained, might not be the right word, but you're in one classroom a lot of the time. And then middle school, you're going a bunch of different classes. So that I can see why that'd be a pretty big adjustment. Marissa, from your perspective, as Nolan started middle school, what was the biggest thing that you were nervous about?
I was nervous about him managing the schedules, especially because there were two different schedules. He had to keep track of, one for day one and one for day two, and just him keeping all of his things together and getting to where he needed to be at each time. But I wasn't too overall I wasn't too nervous. He's my third one starting middle school, so I think that helped too. But I think you just worry about, like you said, they go from one classroom where their teacher takes them to their specialist classrooms if they do leave their room, and it's very organized for them, and they don't have that responsibility to get to where they need to be on their own.
And what about on the excitement side? I assume that, obviously that's new and there's nerves, but what was the most exciting part for you?
I was excited for him to have that responsibility and to meet kids outside of the elementary school he had been with for 6 years. I knew that for him, there were two other elementary schools that were going to be joining him at East, and I was just excited for him to meet new people and the different opportunities that middle school provides, different things you can get involved with. And he's really into the student leadership groups and the yearbook and all of that.
For you, Meg, you probably the first day, the first few days, there's probably a lot of different things you observe, because on the one hand, you have seventh and eighth graders that probably feel like they're the coolest kids in the school. And then you have sixth graders who their eyes are probably wide, and there are some of those nerves. They went from being kind of the oldest kids at elementary where they everything figured out to now they're the new kids and they're the youngest. What is that like for you?
So it's one of my favorite parts of being a middle school principal is being able to see students from sixth grade moving to seventh grade and eighth grade. And in sixth grade, oftentimes the first couple of days, there are a lot of wide eyes, a lot of smiles, lots of energy. Would you agree, Nolan?
Yeah. I agree.
Lots of energy. Some of that's nervous energy, some of that's excited energy, but we kind of take all of that energy and come together as a school and support each other. So what I love to see is our seventh and eighth graders helping our sixth graders, really feeling ownership of our school and ensuring that everybody has a good experience in those first couple of days. We have a lot of staff out in the halls in the first couple of days because a common worry is will I find my way, and will I know where I'm going? And we want to make sure to ease that concern. So we have a lot of staff out, smiling faces, helping students get to where they need to be. I usually wear tennis shoes the first couple of days because we do lots of steps and open lots of lockers. So I tend to have a sore wrist on the first couple of weeks of school because I'm doing a lot of turning locker combinations. But we have a lot of staff there to help to ensure that students very quickly know, I got this. And you start to feel that sense of responsibility Marissa was talking about pretty quickly. And it's really fun to see kids feel responsible and feel like this new sense of pride, of doing things they have never done before. And Nolan's done a great job of taking opportunity to lead. And they maybe haven't had that opportunity before. So I feel like middle school is a time where all of that excitement and nervousness comes to a spot of just passion, for their school and their community.
Yeah, the locker part is so interesting. When we recorded a episode that I'm sure everyone who's listening to this, of course, listened to, the incoming kindergartner, you're just, when you're starting elementary school, you're like, can we tie our shoes? Can we just function as a basic human? Whereas middle school, it's like responsibility, that shift from becoming a young human to now we're going to learn all these things. Do you remember how many times did you struggle with your locker? Did you get it right away, Nolan?
A lot. One time, I had Miss Kleinite help me because I was opening the wrong locker. That was in the middle of the year, and I already knew it. And then she opened it with a key, and it was the wrong locker, and nothing was in it of mine. So then I was like, "Oh, wrong one."
Wrong one. Whoops.
And then I got it my next try.
How long did it take for locker move-in? Do you remember coming into the building?
Yeah.
During locker move-in and practicing?
Mm-hmm.
It takes quite a few tries.
Yeah, it does.
And then all of a sudden you realize how to do it, and then you can almost do it with your eyes shut.
Yeah.
Yeah. Once it gets started. Yeah. Lockers are really important to middle schoolers though, because it is their place,
your space,
and their space. We have many students that decorate their lockers. There's disco balls, wallpaper.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
They really, they decorate it because it's their own space for the first time. They take a lot of pride in it. And I think that's the, one fun part about starting middle school is they get their own thing to really manage. And that can create nervousness for parents because it's oh, are they going to be ready to manage it? But that's what we're there for, to help develop their skills as a human and starting to develop their organization and independence and management. So when they transition to the high school, they have all of those skills built. And the hope is that transition doesn't feel as big, because they feel ready to do it.
Marissa, when Nolan was starting, obviously early on, it's a lot of just trying to figure it out, keep moving day by day. Was there a point where you realized okay, I think he's got this?
Yeah, I would say about a month in, he felt more confident with his schedule. We had a kind of a routine where he would get home, check Canvas, figure out his night, if he had activities, if he had a lot of homework, if he should start right away, if he had time to relax and then do a little later. And I think the first probably a month, that was a little bit of a struggle, just trying to get into that routine and keep organized and know what he had to do, when his tests were and things like that. But I would say about a month in, all of a sudden, I didn't really have to remind him anymore. He just did it. And he was pretty good at getting things done on his own without needing anybody to help with that.
Does that feel right to you, Nolan? About a month in, you felt I got this. I'm the king of the school now.
Yeah.
I forget about the homework, the test home. I mean, we had some version of that in elementary school. I mean, not really though, right? What was it like all of a sudden having homework and having to do stuff for the first time like that?
It was kind of weird because in elementary you only had 2 sheets of math and 30 minutes of reading, but in middle school you have language arts, math, social studies, science, and all those other things that you have to complete in 24 hours or more.
What would you tell, so if an incoming 6th grader was listening to this and they've never really had homework like that before, from your perspective, Nolan, what would you tell them about the homework piece? Because it's probably a little intimidating right away.
It is, but do your homework so you don't fall behind in like in math, like you move on to a different unit. And if you don't know that unit, your grade will drop and it'll be bad sometimes.
Nolan, how much homework was kind of normal to have in a night, would you say? I know it changes.
Maybe like 2 social studies pages and like maybe 1 to 2 math. That's or language arts.
Was it like about an hour or more than that?
This is your chance to tell Meg too much homework. Yeah.
It was like an hour or hour 15.
Okay. And
you should definitely like shorten the homework.
Just a little bit. We have a lot of conversations about homework because there's a lot of different kind of beliefs that educators have about homework and the purpose of it and reason. Personally, I think homework is just to help you practice, just like we practice for other things like a sport. And going to the high school, that in middle school, we should help develop that practice a little bit. So then when you go to the high school, you have your routines like your mom talked about. You know what it's like to set aside time and prioritize, like, how do I balance this with something I really want to go do? I think those are important skills to prepare students for the high school, but not to be so overwhelming that you can't be a kid and do all the things we want you to do, because you're more than just a student. You're a son and you're a friend and you're an athlete and all these fun things that are really important. So that's always the balance we're trying to strike.
So I'm sure Nolan did his homework every night without ever having to get prodded or asked to do it.
Maybe.
So Marissa, from your end as a parent, do you have anything you would tell parents of incoming 6th graders of like what sort of things worked or helped to not even just nudge Nolan or whatever, because we know Nolan always did it without asking. More so what helped with that routine for those things after school?
Well, I think a few things, but one, me knowing and understanding how Canvas works, because when they go from elementary to middle school, it is a big jump, and they go from, like he said, a couple math pages a week, some reading, to work or studying for every class that they have. And so understanding Canvas, where the assignments are, just helping them too, because that's new. They've used Canvas, but they have not had all the different classes and had to get into that routine of checking all of the different class tabs for homework and due dates and tests, upcoming tests. So I think me understanding that then helped him, because then I would remind him like, okay, well, why don't you check science just to be sure? And then also just getting into the habit of checking that right away after school, because if for a little bit, we didn't do that right away, or he didn't do that right away. And it just, then all of a sudden he would be like, oh, it'd be 9:00 at night. And all of a sudden he'd realize, oh, I have this worksheet in social studies to do still. And at that point he's tired, and it's just wasn't a good recipe. And so I think just having that routine of like him having that responsibility, check, and then how long do you think it's going to take? And then kind of planning, because kids are busy. They have a lot of other activities. You want them to have downtime.
Yeah. It's like time management, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think just me knowing Canvas, understanding it, him being in the routine. And then I think also getting actual grades. So up until this point, you don't get a grade. When he would see I have an A, or it dropped to a B because I didn't study for this test and wasn't as prepared, that motivated him too. So I think just the actual grades and being able to see that on Canvas too helped motivate him and he wanted to do well.
So Meg, as principal, what have you noticed things with families in terms of like the routine for like the homework piece, for the schoolwork piece, that seems to work better than other things?
I think what Marissa shared is really important, like having students and families partner with Canvas as a tool. to have regular check-ins with their student, to have the student share with them, okay, this is what my grades look like right now. This is what I'm doing in my classes. And have them really lead.
We should add Canvas as the learning management software that is used at middle school and high school. So some people listening might be, what's Canvas? Yeah, it's software that has all the classes and assignments and grades in it. But sorry, I didn't mean
yeah, it's like a grade book where you can get like an up-to-date picture of how a student is doing in a class. There's a parent app for it. And there's, of course, students have it on their iPad. I actually encourage parents to just look at the iPad with their student. The parent app doesn't give as much detail as what the student view is. And so sitting down with your student, having them show you Canvas, how their classes are, be able to hear from them about their experience, I think is really important. But also, like Marissa said, to ask them guiding questions. And let them take the lead. So tell me more about what's happening in science right now. Is there work that you might have to do tonight? You do see like a missing assignment tab. And so it is like, I'm a parent myself. You do get this sense of urgency of, like, why is that missing? But it is really important for students to learn how to come to those solutions themselves of, okay, I have this, I need to plan for this. And that's what we're teaching them. Middle school is a time to learn. And there's going to be times where we make mistakes and we learn from them and we move on from it. And so I think it's really hard as a parent sometimes to see your child go through a productive struggle. But that is the space that we want to do it in middle school. And so watching your student learn those lessons is important rather than maybe heavily supporting them and they're not developing the skills independently. So trying to find the balance of support, partnership, but really letting the student take lead.
Yeah, that's great. So switching gears from the schoolwork, homework, the boring stuff, right, Nolan? Mm-hmm. Middle school is obviously a huge change from like a social perspective. Thinking back to like elementary school, you're pretty confined to your classroom, as we talked about, and those are kind of your people you're around the most. Where middle school, you're bouncing around from class to class. And
that's a good way to describe how Nolan goes from class to class.
Just skipping, whistling, right? Just super excited to get to the next class, of course. Thinking about all the interactions you have, you're making friends in a new way than you did before. What was that like for you, Nolan?
It was fun because you got to see their like personality and their like traits that they want to like be a person.
Nolan met lots of people in 6th grade. Mm-hmm. Would you agree?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's pretty social.
Yeah. Nolan's really social. When I mean he bounces to class, he literally bounces to class with a big smile on his face, and connects with lots of people, kids and adults. I feel like, Nolan, most adults in our building and students. Mm-hmm. But did you feel nervous or challenged at all in the beginning of the year? Like not knowing, what friendships you might develop or who you might sit with? I feel like that can be kind of a common thing to worry about.
Yeah, that was I kind of worried about that, like, because I switched, like, from, like, lunch table to lunch table. So it was challenging.
For lunch to start?
Mm-hmm.
How did you, like, decide where to sit for the first day?
I don't know. I kind of, like, saw, like, people that I did know from Plymouth Creek. So then I just sat with them, but I can't even remember who I sat with on the first day.
Were some of the older students helpful early on in like making those friendships?
Yeah.
Not in lunch though, because they don't get to go to 6th grade lunch.
Okay, it's separate. Okay.
Yeah. Did you have students help you find your way to classes?
Yeah. That was helpful from like some students.
For you, Meg, I just envision like a middle school hallway is just like chaos, right? Mm-hmm. Like whether it's kids trying to figure out where they're going early on or so having those friendships and the just the amount of talking. I feel like that changes as you get older. What do you notice the most about the social piece of like, I just think about that passing time between classes. What is that like from your observation?
So 6th grade passing time, there's lots of energy in the hallways, more than 8th grade.
Yeah.
6th graders have so much energy and they want to connect with each other. And their classes are generally pretty close to each other, most of their classrooms, with the exception of electives and science for Mr. Roweter for you. Yeah.
Yeah.
Are there other classes that are?
I went from Spanish to social studies.
Which that's a walk.
Mr. Voigt, social studies.
Yeah.
So that's a walk.
That's a walk. Many of their classes are closer. And so Nolan, how long are our passing times?
4
minutes. Do you remember what we started with?
3.
3. So Nolan's on student leadership. So he helped with these conversations because we started with 3 minutes because we want the social time, but also we don't want too much time in the hallway. And so we were trying to find a balance of providing social time, but also allowing enough time to get to classes. And 3 minutes was pretty quick, especially from the different corners of our building.
And if you had to go to the bathroom.
And if you have to go to the bathroom. So we switched to 4 minutes pretty quickly in the year and found that was a pretty good balance. But the hallways are not chaos. They're busy though.
Yeah.
Controlled chaos.
Controlled chaos, would you say is fair? Yeah. There's a lot going on in a hallway. There's kids getting their stuff in their lockers, kids talking, trying to get to class quickly.
And some kids just stop in the middle of the hallway.
Yes.
And just talk. Or they're really slow walking. So I have to go
That's real
past.
life, Nolan.
Yeah.
That's everywhere you go.
Yeah. I would say a middle school hallway feels like an airport. Do you agree?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's comparable where like airports generally don't feel chaotic. You feel safe and in control, but there's a lot of things going and people trying to get to places faster. Some people relaxing, some people socializing. So I feel like everyone's trying to get their needs met and the adults are in the hallway to direct traffic and make sure we all get to where we need to be.
So what I'm hearing, Nolan, is we're pushing for 5 minutes this year. Bring that to the student leadership
Maybe
team.
6.
Yeah, there we go. Yeah,
I think student leadership was trying for 8 at one point.
Yeah, I'll do that.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't think that's unreasonable. Yeah, we'll talk about that after the episode. Marissa, for you, I mean, I think he's not even in kindergarten yet, but when you think of younger kids, it feels like, oh, who'd you play with today? And it was always like the same few friends. Did you notice early on with Nolan that like, oh wow, there's a lot going on here socially and you're hearing more names, and did it feel different to you at all?
Yes, definitely. And you're used to, in elementary, you're used to knowing who everybody is, especially if you're somewhat involved in like volunteering. And all of a sudden there were just tons of new names, but he is very social. But even for not social kids, they're able to meet so many different kids in each classroom that I feel like they have just a wide variety of friends. I don't even know if I would say I guess you have a group of friends that you hang out with at recess and probably lunch, but he just had so many different friends in each class, and the teachers do a good job at changing their desks throughout the year. So then they're working with new kids every few weeks, which I think is good too. And you have to learn how to work well with all different personalities. So.
Did you notice any changes in him with all those new friends and those new social experiences?
He's always been outgoing, but yeah, probably even more confident. I think he became more confident in just seeing that he can go out there and make new friendships and go out of his comfort zone more. It's just that independence that they gain in middle school.
So for families, what would you tell, a parent of an incoming 6th grader when, how do they lean into this new social experience that they're all of a sudden going to get?
Just know that there may be a few bumps in the road. There may be some tougher days than not, but overall, I think East does an awesome job at helping kids maybe that are having trouble finding somebody to sit with or connecting with people. Like the counselors there are absolutely amazing. They will put together groups like you did sometimes Friday lunch group with just a group of kids. They would go have lunch, their counselor, and go do something outside together. Even without those groups, I feel like teachers and the staff are very in tune to what's happening and can see the dynamics in the classroom, and they do a great job at facilitating, not facilitating friendships, but just helping out in situations. But I feel like overall the kids, and I'm a little biased, but the kids at East are all very welcoming and inclusive. I went on the end of the year field trip to the Science Museum, and I just was amazed. Like they all are just saying hi to each other. I mean, they just interacting, and everybody just seemed really friendly to each other, regardless of like who their group may have been or who their close friends were. And I'm just very impressed with how inclusive and friendly all the kids seem to be.
A lot of people I hear from parents quite a bit of nervous. Middle school tends to have a feeling for people of, the social piece can be really hard, or they're worried about that for their kids. And there are parts about the middle school day, that we do have bumps that people are learning, maybe how to talk to one another, or what things could be hurtful in general. Like we have amazing kids at East who are really inclusive and welcoming, and we're still people who make mistakes and we're learning. What would you say to parents and students about middle school? Like as far as if they're really nervous about how they might feel there or how they might be welcomed, what would be your thoughts on that, Nolan?
If you're really social, you can make a lot of friends quick. And if you're not very social, you can still make friends. And for my math teacher, Miss Johnson, she had like this board that she puts up on her smart board that like she switches seats every single time.
It's like magic.
Mm-hmm. So you get to meet new people and like work with other people that you are maybe not friends with. And you get to know that person and possibly be friends with them.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we've now hit the schoolwork side, we've hit kind of the social side, and I think one of the last big pieces that was like the emotional, the belonging, which Marissa, you touched on a little bit, like the safety piece. Mm-hmm. I think that's when you think about middle school and even thinking outward to when like our kids are going to middle school, like there's a big safety component to it, because I think there's a lot of changes that happen in these students. So for you, Meg, when you think about belonging, when you think about the culture of the school, when you think about physical and emotional safety,
mm-hmm.
It's a really big question, but what do you think of when it comes to middle school?
I think it's really critical that adults listen to our kids, which is why I have student leadership, and I view them as such an important part of our school and my role. I always say I can't be a principal without them, because their experience is theirs. It's not ours, and it's their school. And so for them to feel the truest sense of belonging and that it is their community, we need to hear their voice and let them lead. And so we provide lots of different ways for that to come through, whether it's student council, student leadership. We have different clubs and activities. I think it's really important for students to find like their place that they belong with. That could be in the musical, it could be in a class, it could be with their advisor, it could be with a group of friends, but we need to find a way for each student to feel that sense of belonging. And we work really hard to do that by getting student feedback, by providing them opportunities to be in conversation with us and share, about their experience and how we can improve East. And then we work to respond to that and adjust. Students are forever changing. And so, our sixth graders coming in will be different than the sixth graders we had last year. And it's really important for us to create clear, consistent structure and expectations, but also be willing to be flexible for how to best meet their needs. And so we're always looking for ways to be as responsive as we can. I think last year we looked to offer a ping pong club at one point. We started Fun My Time, and that was an idea that student leaders came up with. We were talking about the student survey, and one of our lowest scores was on ensuring our students felt happy during the school day. We had really high scores. Our 3 questions were, do you feel happy? Are you proud of the learning? And do you have at least one supportive adult? And we get really high ratings in, at least 80% of our students being able to say yes to all those questions. But happy was where we felt the lowest. And so we had a conversation as student leaders, and we brainstormed what makes you not feel happy during the day? And one area that came up was iPad use, that iPads can feel really lonely. And so as a principal, I brought that forward to teachers, and we talked about specific strategies to intentionally decrease iPad use. And then another area was just belonging and wanting to have fun. And so we created these Fun My Time sessions toward the end of the year. Nolan, I can't remember what you attended. Did you attend one, or did you attend multiple?
I did an art mural.
Oh,
Winslow.
Yes.
So we're still making that.
That will start again in the fall. That's right. Yeah. So do you want to talk a little bit what that art mural was?
So first we chose a design that we all liked, 6th, 7th, and 8th graders. And then next we painted over the old mural with white paint. And then I think it was the end of the year.
Yeah, you started the design. I got to see the design. And now the wall is ready to be painted. But that's an example of something that students were really passionate about, making the school their own. We had a mural in the hallway that had been there since, it was for sure older than me, right, Nolan?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it had been there for a very long time. And they had an idea that they wanted to improve the school and make something new and a part of who they are. So that's one example, but it was a way to create belonging and space for teachers to connect with students and students to connect with students. And that was an idea that came forward from our student leaders on My Time is an important academic support time. And we stuck really strongly to that throughout the year. And then we had specific days toward mid to the end of the year where we just had fun with each other. And that was an important piece to making sure they felt a sense of belonging.
Yeah, that's great. For you, Marissa, Nolan he has older siblings, so it wasn't the first time for your family starting middle school. But if you can think back to that first time, I don't want to make any assumptions, but I assume there are some nerves around that belonging, that safety piece. If you can think back to how you felt before middle school started, and then what the reality was like once they were actually there, in terms of some of those nerves you might have had.
Yeah, I definitely was most nervous before my oldest started middle school, because I really didn't know what to expect. And just like I had said earlier, you just worry that they're going to get to where they need to be, make friends, be able to advocate for themselves, just things like that. And then even just a couple of weeks in, I realized, okay, my oldest is a girl, and okay, she can do this. I was really worried for nothing, kind of. I don't want to just, downplay any worries, but for me, I felt like I was probably more worried than her. And then I realized, okay, she can do this, and she's got it. And they seem little, but they really can take on that responsibility and continue to grow as people. So be nervous. It's normal, but when all is said and done, your student will do just fine. And there's so much support in the school. And that's one thing I have to say about Meg. She's very present in the hallways, in lunch. Not a lot of principals, at least from me growing up. And that was a long time ago now. But I don't remember even knowing what they look like.
Yeah.
And she's just like, all the kids know her and you're fun, but they do know what you expect as well. And so I just feel like her being involved so much with the students, it makes it just a safe, more comfortable environment. And the staff as well. Everybody's just very even if he didn't have them for a teacher, they'll say, "Hi, Nolan." I mean, I just feel like they all know the students, regardless of what grade they're in, and it just feels very welcoming. So I think also when I went to the open houses and met people and saw how the teachers interacted with students that were coming back after the summer, for the locker move or during locker movement, I just felt better about everything. So they do a great job.
I feel like I've noticed that, and obviously we're talking a lot about East, but I've noticed that at all the schools in Wayzata, that you go into the high school in the morning or during passing time, and there's staff everywhere. Mm-hmm. And I think you see that at the other middle schools as well, Central and West, and elementary schools, that welcoming presence. And it seems like it's a priority for staff.
Yeah, we focus a lot on the student experience and knowing that if we create a student experience, the academic outcomes will naturally come. Of course, we focus a lot on our instruction and creating really high expectations around our academics, but really focusing on the student experience and ensuring that our students feel safe and connected and can take risks will just help us get to that next level of, having them become the best they can and feeling success. And they bring those important skills to whatever they do, whether that be something academic or a future job. It's so important for us to develop that confidence. And I love to see it in sixth grade. It happens really quick. I think I agree with Marissa. It's 2 weeks in, and all of a sudden it just feels so different that students are, I'm like, "Do you need anything?" "Nope, I'm good." They just keep walking and they just have it. And I usually say, we as parents, myself included, are more nervous because we don't get to see our students in that space. But it's really fun from my perspective to see that confidence, and it happens really quick where all of a sudden they're helping other people and they feel like they know how to get to their classes. So it's really fun to see that happen really quick. And for some students, it might take a little longer, and we have people out there to support them and make sure, like Marissa said, our student support teams are incredible. And they are really attuned to the student needs, and they're well connected with teachers so that we are constantly talking about our kids. We know the students in our school, and we really work to be proactive. So if we see something we're concerned about or a change, we step in and provide support immediately.
So we're going to play Mythbusters now. Nolan, do you know what Mythbusters is?
Me neither.
Proceed. Yeah, it's a show, isn't it, Trevor? Yeah. So what we're going to do is think about the thing before you started middle school, the biggest misconception, the thing you're like, I think middle school is going to be like this, and actually that's not true at all. So you can all think about that for a little bit, and then we're going to go around and the biggest myth about middle school. So whoever's ready can jump in.
I have a middle school myth.
That's great.
There's a myth that middle school kids are mean.
Ooh.
Mm-hmm.
Nolan, is that true?
Mm-mm.
No?
Some, but mostly not.
Mostly not. Middle schoolers are cool.
Yeah.
They're curious creatures, I always say. They are wanting to know more, and they're asking questions, and they want to do especially Nolan, your generation, they want to do better for their community. They want to give back and lead, and they're really incredible humans, and they tell you what they think.
I thought the like halls would be like crowded and like I couldn't walk anywhere, but it's not that crowded.
Especially if you get that extra minute of passing time this next year, right? 5 minutes.
Yeah.
8, 9.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's good. Yeah. All right. So we're gonna wrap up here. And again, we're gonna go around. And so let's imagine we have families with it's their first kiddo going to middle school and they're listening. What is one piece of advice you would give them?
Trust your child, believe in them, and know that they are going to have to go through some of the hard things in order to continue to grow, but they will, and they will do just fine, and they'll probably surprise you.
Nolan, what about you? If a fifth grader now turned into a sixth grader was listening, what's the one thing you would tell them?
Be like motivational and like help other students and be like sociable. Is that the word?
That's a good word.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And like talk to people and have like energy and meet new people.
It's good advice. I would say, as middle school staff, we know that parents put a ton of trust in us and we don't take that lightly. And so trust us. We got your student and we got you, and we will do our very best to make it the best experience we can for you and your student.
Well, I think that's all we have for today, other than we got to come up with a strategy for 6 or 7 minutes of passing time this next year. Mm-hmm. Maybe some more my time. Yeah. Anything else you want to see, Nolan? Any other changes?
Tell them about the best part of lunch.
Ooh.
Oh, a la carte.
Oh, yes. Does your mom limit your budget?
No.
He doesn't really overuse it.
What's your a la carte item that you buy?
Cookies, ice cream.
Wow.
Yeah.
Those are things to look forward to in middle school.
A la carte is a fan favorite for middle school, isn't it?
Uh-huh.
What would you say about the food at middle school?
It's good. It's way better than elementary food.
There's lots of choices, right?
Uh-huh.
What's your favorite school lunch?
Probably the pizza.
Oh,
I like the pizza.
not the orange chicken?
No, I don't like
Oh,
orange.
no? All right.
It's good feedback. What we have you, Nolan. What other changes do you want to see at East? Like, do you have any other wish list items for Miss Bennett?
Nolan's eventually going to be the assistant principal.
Yep.
I
So.
want a mascot for the school.
Oh, I love this. I haven't heard this idea yet. Do you have any ideas on what the mascot should be?
No, but I'll wear the costume.
Oh, you will be the mascot.
Uh-huh.
Okay. I like this idea. We're going to come up with this year.
Uh-huh.
Before the last day of school,
Okay.
we will have a mascot at East named Nolan.
No.
Nolan the Bumblebee. That's great.
Uh-huh.
Well, there is, once you get to high school, they do have the Trojan mascot that you can dress up as.
Mm-hmm.
I might know somebody who did that once, and
No.
it was really hot and sweaty.
You did?
Yeah, it was, I think they've since gotten a new uniform or
updated
yes,
costume.
the one I was in was quite smelly. But, so anyway, I think that's a great idea.
That was my Plymouth Creek one.
The Panther.
Yeah. On the last day of school.
Yeah, they asked him to come back for the last day of school.
Wow.
And that
For the
was
fifth grade
fun.
send off.
Shadow, isn't it Shadow T Panther?
Yeah.
Not sure why I know that, but
That is pretty impressive.
Nolan, I feel like we need to do an interesting sign off.
Uh-huh.
Like, what should we say at the end?
I don't know.
does he used to have a slogan?
Not necessarily, do
You
we?
need a slogan and a mascot.
Uh-huh.
Don't you have something like what's your
East is the beast.
not that one?
That's a pretty good sign.
We could say that though. Should we say signing off?
Yeah.
East is the beast.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, ready? On 3. 1, 2, 3. Signing off. East is the beast.
It's great.